Hello guys, my name is Konstantin and I'm senior Android developer for Agoda, and today my topic will be about how to contribute to open source software. Actually, this topic is a bit complicated for me for start because it's very simple actually. How it actually works. At first you should fork some main repository and clone your forks, add new functional, modify something, fix bugs. It's not complicated. Commit new changes to your fork repo and create pull request to main repository. So that's all. Yes, but actually it's a bit complicated because how to contribute to open source and make your pull request acceptable. It's very important. So actually, how it's happened? Sometimes we use third-party library in our project, and one time something go wrong because you received some exception from external part, and you try to investigate why it's happened, and you found some exception in third-party. And you start investigate how it's fixed, and you can find solutions how to do it. And what you will do next step? You can clone a repo like in previous project, and at first you can create some issue. No, it's not the first way. Actually, you can create some fix in your part, and okay, it works. You can create if condition, for example, try catch examples, and it will be work. So, but next step, you can create some issue in the open source project. But it's can take a lot of time for fix. For example, guys who own this repository don't have time for it, and it can take around, for example, 2 months, and in 2 months, it's not will be a matter for you. So, but if you want something done, you can do it yourself. So, but before we start modify some code and create pull request, we should to handle some rules. Check repository activity at first. It's really important. It's a real examples. When you open open source repo, you can find activity and right side, and it's here is around 4 years, 2 years ago, last modification for this file, and it's not a good signal actually. For example, in my experience, I create pull request on 26 April. And right now it's still not merged because nobody cares about it. It's a good example. For example, in case when you open some repo and you have activity around 4 days right now, 6 months ago, but you can understand that this repository is still alive. And if you will create some pull request, create issue, it's not just a waste of time. That's a waste of your time. You can check activity in the repository. For example, here it's an example from. Okay. In my last experience, we have an exception with third-party library, and I create pull request, assign owners of this repo to my PR, and here I received something like this. This is 3 years old. Okay, and for this case, you have only one way. You can fork your repo, create a new build, and use in your project. But it will be your forks, but not main repo. It's a problem. Also, you can open pull request tab in on Git and check activities here. For example, a lot of guys create every time a lot of pull requests, but you can find queue of this pull request, and here is a bad example that we have very old pull request. It's not merged. That means that owner of this repo already don't maintain it. But it's a good example. For example, this is a screenshot from Mapbox repo, and last pull request was created 3 days ago, 4 days ago. Yes, it means that if you will do something, it can be merged. And try to find the same issue. You can open issues, find something, for example, null pointer exception here, and maybe they already work on your exception, or you can add additional information about this bug, what you find. It's a good example. I opened pull request, I don't remember how many, maybe 2 years ago, but it's still not fixed because problem based on Android library path, and they have a lot of comments inside, and you can add your comments here. That is not a bug. Actually, it's how its component works. Okay. And actually, right now they closed this issue because it's not a bug, but a lot of guys thinking that's a bug. What's important? You should check. Maybe this repo has some CI requirements like license agreements, test coverage. It should be, in our case, it's just a screenshot from Kakao library, and we have three requirements or 4. So first one is your build should be completed successfully. Automation test should be passed, and you should accept license. And right now we have one pull request with passed ATs, UTs, but guy don't agree with this license, and we can't merge it, unfortunately. Sometimes they have a lot of checks inside. For example, 32 here with increased size of applications, for example, increased size of or decrease for unit test coverage. And actually, when you create your pull request, you should be thinking about unit test coverage, because it's a very common case. Don't forget add unit tests. You can find some test folder in open source and check maybe they have unit test or not. For example, for Kakao, we don't have unit tests, but yes.
Not because we don't want to.
Yes.
It's just because we can't.
Yeah. we're not a bad
There are
guys.
some limitations that are causing us not to make unit tests because it's impossible to unit test this language.
Correct.
But
you should create automation test.
Yes.
Yes, it's.
Why is it impossible to test?
Because this library is actually a buffer, right? The espresso library.
Yes.
And the espresso library is fully static.
Okay.
And we can.
The methods are there are static.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem for us. You can find some batch like this in open source repo. It means they have a test coverage, and will be better if you will add test for your new functional or fix some issues. And just example how to increase or decrease it test coverage in open source. Just example from my library, and my library right now has a 76% of coverage. And if you will do a new functionality here, you should create new unit tests. So right now it's Hacktoberfest month, and I want to provide for you easy way, some cases how to contribute to open source. First example, based on RxJava. Maybe it's complicated, but if you will open some repo, you can find here PR welcome label, and you can write some documentation, create diagrams, up to you. So you can find how Verachad. Yes, you can find some labels in open source, and you can start to contribute. It's like a PR welcome, easy to start, like this.
No failing. No failing.
No failing?
No friendly.
No friend. Sorry, no friend is yes.
It's for you.
Yes, okay, but I can create pull request to my repository. So actually, when you contribute to open source, it's a general question: why I should to contribute to open source? Because it's no, I can be rich if I will contribute it, but you have another opportunities. So, open new horizons. What does it mean? Actually, in job cases, we work with, for example, with the same technology. Like for me, it's Android. For some other guys, it's backend part, web part. Doesn't matter. When you will contribute to open source, you can find. You should work with different languages, find some solution how to make new things in opposite way, in another ways, and it can help you for next cases in your job. Sometimes it's just faster, yes. You can create issue, it's take around 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but if you will fix it by yourself, it will take around 2 days maybe. And if repo provide for you snapshots, you can receive your changes as soon as possible. Before you must like a Jake.
Who is Jake?
Who knows who is, yes, Jacob Orton, yes. Okay, so it's a really famous Android guy. Right now he's working in Google, okay. And a lot of guys suppose that it's not a real man because if you open his page, it's always green contribution for each day, maybe a couple days in a year he don't have activities. But yeah, it's like, yes, we suppose that it's not real man actually. You can add extra info to your CV. Yes, if you can contribute to open source, to famous library, you can add link in your CV. It's good for employers and.
I have a pull request to GD. It's not merged yet.
It's not merged yet.
Like half a year already.
But you can Kakao. In my case, sometimes it's save time for interview processing. They just provide for you for next step without any technical interviews, for example. They can check some project in your open source, in your GitHub account, and they will understand your code style, how you thinking, and just skip some technical interviews. It saves your time.
Yeah, but from other point, if the guy is only contributing to open source and not working somewhere, it's like a little bit strange.
There is a guy who actually does that. He gets paid for that. It's Jake Ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
He works for Google, but all he
You
does
can,
is just
yes, actually can be like a fancy guy. Fancy guy.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
paid. He just drink a beer and contribute open source, but the Google offered him. So, should to store karma balance. What does it mean? If sometimes we use third-party libraries, but you don't contribute to it, you should save a balance between what we get and what we provide. So, follow me on GitHub. It's my GitHub page. You can check my repos here. try to contribute. You can fork it, try to contribute because it's Hacktoberfest week. Yes, and it's not complicated. QA?
Quality assurance?
Question answer.
No, there's no QAs here.
Just opened your repository, which is called foam mass, and last update was February. What the?
Yes.
We're working on it right now.
Pardon?
Oh, okay. So you don't say about it. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I'm your fan of the user. I don't know what's happening. Like you don't update.
Yeah. You mean with
With the phone mask.
phone mask? Yes, because I don't have time. Maybe.
Blame his manager.
Actually, problem because I lost some keys for publishing.
Okay. Actually, I was just kidding. That's not
You can fix it and contribute. Yes. I will approve your PR. Yes.
Yeah, he accepts
It's
pull
good
requests.
opportunity for t-shirt.
Here's comes the real question.
Yes.
So if I contribute
Yes.
to your
In any case, yes, it's a good question because sometimes you create issues and you can assign owner, and if owner will answer shortly for you, it means that he's still alive. Yes. Okay. Maybe if I will have some free time, I can fix it because it's not a famous library like Kakao or something like this, because if we receive some issue in Kakao, we should fix it as soon as possible. But here only, this guy's creating not a complicated task. He can fix it by himself. But it's... So,
Okay, cool. So thank you.
thanks so much.
So next is Vinay. He will talk about license.
License agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's it, Vinay. Vinay? Oh, yeah, forget. Okay, sorry.
No, you don't need to use them.
Okay, so I'm supposed to be talking about one of the boring topics, licenses. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a software engineer, I'm working at Agoda. I try to make this as interesting as possible, not to go much deep into all these licenses, listing them and saying what all this does. But here's an interesting theme. Today, we all of here are talking about our work, like what we do, how to do this, how to give to the community, right? It's not only us who is talking about our work. A lot of people did this before. There are a lot of interesting people who did this. There are a lot of wonderful theories that explains about our work, how to contribute to the community, and how to do good thing to the world as a whole. Like, there are a lot of theories about it, but I don't want to talk about all the theories. I will just take two theories. One is communism, and one more is the capitalism. These are the societies that some of us or most of us are living in. one of the very important contributions to this field comes from one of the very good thinker of our time. His name is Karl Marx. Karl Marx saw the same thing that probably the Buddha has gone through. If you know about Buddha, Buddha is this person who born and brought up in a very royal family. His father is a king. His father didn't wanted him to see the what you call the reality of the world. His father wanted him to grow up in a very rich, like a royal manner. But he came out, he saw the world, and he thought, there are a lot of unhappiness. There are a lot of people who are suffering from sorrows. I just want to enlighten them. Let's make them happy. Like the Karl Marx saw the world in almost the same way. Like in this world, there is a lot of wealth. Like we are already. He's not from the very old times. His timeline is around 1800s, where the society is already moving towards a post-industrialization era. We are already producing lot of goods. We have enough to serve for everyone. What he said is, you need not be so worried about everything. Like you need not to work for 8 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours a day. There is enough food for you. We have so many factories in the world that we can literally give cars for everyone. Like we have all this, but why does people are running around? And why is that only the rich are getting rich while poor remain the poor? Like he says the crisis of our world is the crisis of having more, not or controlling what we have. Not that we don't have it, we have enough, but we are controlling it. Like the world produces enough food for everyone. Like if you go with the statistics, the food that wasted in US and Europe alone can feed the world 3 times more. But at the same time, we have this happening in another part of the world. There is one person dying every 6 seconds because of hunger. At another part, we are wasting that food. Like, is there any fix for this? It was his idea. Like, can we give all this capital that the rich, the top 20% have to everyone? Yeah, it's a good idea, but you know what? People doesn't work that way. What happened is, there's a beautiful story. A person went to a country which adopted the communism. Like, if I have more, I should give it to everyone. And he saw a man with 2 chickens. He's carrying 2 chickens, and this guy asked, "Oh, the world is nice. Like everyone wants to give the extra that they have to the world, so that the world becomes a better place." He asked this person, "So you are in a communist society?" "Yes." "So you believe in this idea that we should give out the things that we have in excess?" "Yes." And then he asked, "So you have 2 chickens, could you give me 1? Like the answer is no. Why are you asking me? I just have only 2 chickens. Go ask for some other rich person. Probably they will give you. Like this is the way the classic how the humans work. So communism didn't work. Like even in the countries where they say they are the communists, what happened is they actually led to the dictatorship. And after that there came one more theory, that's of capitalists. Like there's nothing wrong in acquiring the wealth. There is nothing wrong in it. Like what the capitalism is doing is we are increasingly getting efficient at whatever we do. We can produce a lot more with a lot less. We have all these machines which are doing the work for us, so that we can be more productive and we can spend our times more effectively. Like we can chill out with our friends and do whatever we want. And when the Adam Smith's theory of capitalism came out, he said we can actually do more of this. We have to increasingly automate the things so that let's produce more. This should solve the world's problems. But interestingly, where it led to is a different world. A world that some of us live in. A world that's highly polluted. It led to a place where we consume, like we are more into consuming without thinking what we need. And it's in effect, it's fed by our own thoughts. And the same guy gives this statement, like we are in in a time where we can produce for everyone, but another thing is, these are the truths about humans. Human beings, by the very nature, are lazy and would not do anything unless you made it worth their while. And the way you made it worth their while is by incentivizing them, by giving the rewards. Like here are the rich people who have all this wealth. But you know what? The rich didn't become rich because they are obsessed about money. Uh, Now you have to find a way to balance all these things, a way to distribute the wealth so that every one of us lives happy. How do you make the rich to give out? The classic answers were make them feel stupid, like take more taxes from them so that you can redistribute it later. But none of that worked. The Adam Smith had a wonderful idea. You know how to make all these people give out? It is to make them feel make them feel like heroes, incentivize them. Say that you are doing a great work by giving to the world, giving it back. And that's the same thing that's happening in almost the same kind of thing reflects in the software world. Like even we are the people, we work for something because we all are interested in it, we want something out of it. Giving everything out for free will not work. We know that it didn't work in the places where they tried to do it. This is a tweet from the Michael Feathers just on the October 4th. Like most problems in the software development are the problems of incentives. But we don't think about that way. Like we think in terms of, we give a lot of other names to it, but basically these are the human problems. So what's the solution for all these? Like nobody told you to say go and buy BMW, eat Coca-Cola, go for pizza. Like it's this thing that's driven by the capitalism. Like they have it, they are promoting it, you are going blind about it, go and consume more and more. Nobody told you to do that. It's your own intentions. Like you have a craving for it, that's why you're doing it. If I need to retell the same story in the software, there are these two peaks around the capitalism and communism. At the extreme end, we have this guy called the Richard Matthew Stallman. You know what this guy said? Let me go to the next slide. Okay. You know, we live in a very, very advanced world and we use a lot of softwares. Today, the software controls the entire world. All of us use a lot of softwares in this world. When it is the software that started to control the world, then the user should have the control of the software. Not that you give me some OS, you give me some operating system, and I start using it, and then this machine starts controlling you. But instead, I should have the control. Like I should know what I'm really doing with these things. He said a software should have essentially the 4 basic freedoms. It is to run the program as you wish for whatever the purpose that you want. So in today's days, the software these are the kind of solutions, right? They are not some gibberish written and does nothing. The software really does the work for us. It defines how we think, how we act, how we perceive this world as we see today. So if I have a piece of software, then I should have that capability to know what the software does, and I should be able to run that software, and I should be having the freedom to study its source code and change it if I want to change it, so that if I have a better idea, if I can contribute and make the world better, I should be able to do this. And I should have the freedom to redistribute this and make many copies of it, and I should be having this freedom. Like not everyone is software engineers. If you give the software, not everyone is going to do this. But you know, to make better software, not everyone needs to be a better programmer. There are the social aspects to it. There are a lot of other things that you need to work with the software. If I want to work with the community and want to change this, I should be having this ability. and I should have the right to redistribute the same software and tell that you could make the changes and redistribute again, so that the world as a whole, we all will benefit from it.
Okay, now there is some proprietary software asking for password.
Every piece of software that we call as proprietary are the copyrighted licenses. Like these softwares makes almost 80 to 90% of what we use. Most of the OSs, most of the hardwares that we see here, these are proprietary. These are licensed by some of the companies. And what these things are doing is they're tracking you. They will force you to update the system when, rather than saying, I want to update when I wish to update, you are forced to update, otherwise it will not work. These are malwares. Like we are just paying for it and it's controlling us instead of I doing whatever I want to do. So it leads to a beautiful place, the age of tech. You know, the same thing, the top 20% acquiring 80% of the wealth and having all the control over it. The same thing happened in the age of tech. This is the distribution of wealth in the 10 years. If you see the 10 years back, it's all owned by the oil, energy and finance companies. These are the banks. And today we have the tech ruling everywhere. Like we are defining how the world works. Each of the things, each of the companies that we run, we say algorithms. Each of the things that we say the systems. What are they doing? They are trying to sell you something, trying to show you the ads. This is what it's doing. So in between this, like, can we control all of this? That's where the copyleft movement started. The copyleft movement is the same thing that says the software that you use should have the right for you to change, for the communities to change, for you to redistribute it as you wish. The software licenses, these are the statements that we put on our work, right? Whether you are a capitalist who says I want to make more and I will give out, like if I feel to, and the extreme communism, like if I have excess, I will give it, just use it. Just be relaxed, take it, whatever you want. Between these two extremes, if I compare the same thing to the software, there are these two things, the copyleft and the copyright. Copyleft says, take it, do whatever you want. Copyright, you can't touch anything unless you have my permission. We know all the companies that work with copyright, because of that, they are on the top of the tier. So now coming back, my work here is to explain licenses, not the social theory. Okay? If I want to aggregate these licenses, there are the licenses that goes around these shades. All these licenses are speaking the same language, but they speak the same language in a different shade. Like some of them puts more restrictions, some of them less. Some of them say take it all you wish, some of them you can't touch anything, and some of them are the middle. That's the way all the licenses are distributed. I'll talk about some of the strong copyleft licenses or the weak copyleft licenses, which say you can take this license, but if you have to make something out of it, you should, like, I will take a simple analogy, like let's make some cookies. Who wants to talk about software on a Saturday evening when we are with friends and it's Hacktoberfest? We are supposed to be talking about beers. So at least I will talk about cookies. So you have this wonderful idea to make a cookie, and to that cookie you assigned a label of some of the the copyleft licenses, let's say GPL v3 licenses, and you gave this out to the community. Look, here is the formula to make a cookie. Because I attach GPL v3 or some of the copyleft license to it, you have to give this formula to make cookie free for everyone. Not only that, if you make a modifications, like you take my idea of making this cookie and you created your idea to make Oreo out of this, then you should give even that recipe that you created based on my work also to free. So the thing is, you can't use the the software that's licensed under GPL v3 or any of the open left licenses under your proprietary licenses. You are making a thing that's not disclosed, you can't give it out. Like if you are using some of the copy left licenses, you can't use it in the proprietary software without disclosing your own source code. So the copyleft licenses are not used by any of the industries that make the copyrighted softwares. And then there is a slightly less restrictive version of it that's called LGPL, also called as lesser GPL. So you have you got my recipe and you made something out of it. Now, like you got my idea of software and you created a new software. The thing is, you have to say that the original recipe is part of original software is part of this person's contributions. You have to state it as it is, and you need not to give out your work to the public. And then there are the permissive licenses. Like these are the licenses which says you can take my work, do whatever business you want to do with it. You need not to re-release your software so that the world can see it. As long as you have to obey, you will obey with some of the rules that I set. The MIT license say that you can, if any software comes with an MIT license, you are free to use it as long as you have kept the license agreement with that software, whatever the source code that you use as it is. As long as you did that, you are free to use it, do whatever modifications, make whatever the money that you want. And then there are the BSD license. These are the permissive licenses. This another variety of the permissive license, which says if you do something out of this, like you created one more amazing solution which makes the world a better place, then you are free to use it, but you have to follow the 2 rules that I said. One thing, you have to make me famous. Like wherever you use, you said that this thing is originally created by this person. This has to be put up in everything. Like if you see some of the apps, they have a dedicated licenses page, and where you go and see that they will list all these licenses. These are to be in compliance with the licensing rules. And another thing is the non-endorsement. Like I will explain it better with this. Like Apache and even the BSD2 has the same clause of non-endorsement. Like you got some recipe by some of the world's top cooks. Like there's nothing that's more better than that. And you got the software code for that. And you created something out of it. Now you can't say that, this cookie is the world's greatest cookie created by Gordon Ramsay. You just can't do that. Because it's not by that person, because you adopted a modified version of it and you gave it out. The rule that Apache license says that is just don't use the original author's name on your work, and don't spoil his name or make him better. You are not able to do that. And that's it about licenses. Okay, I have one thing that's missing. The Apache 2 license, it's also called as an artistic license. Like you were able to get a copyright on some of the idea, like it's your own idea, but you say, because this software can do something good, like the community can improve it, I say this is my copyright, but I will still allow you to use it. Then you will give that software an Apache 2 license. What it does is, it has a copyright, but you are allowed to open it, allowed to use it in your whatever the proprietary software that you use, whatever the business that you use, without disclosing whatever the changes that you did. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay. So I've got a question. Just say I'm creating a library on GitHub. What license would you just say it's a string extensions library or something? What license would you recommend I use?
It's just used. It's Apache 2.
Apache 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be a more good citizen and you don't want to be proprietary, it should be some of the copy left.
Yeah.
You want the companies to use it, like it should be allowed on the things that makes money, kind of thing. Go with Apache too.
Yeah. Okay.
What about the Creative Commons?
Sorry?
Have you touched the Creative Commons license?
No.
So what do you think? Is open source is communist or capitalist?
Leave it to the users.
What about other versions of GPL v2?
Like GPL v2, that's where the Linux kernel is on. Like you are able to get it modified. Whereas GPL v3 is a strongly copy left license. You have to redistribute your code if you adopted a GPL v3 work and changed it. That's the debate that the Linus Torvalds had when the GPL v2 get updated to GPL v3, and that's why the Linux still stays with the GPL v2.
What's the main difference between GPL v3 and LGPL?
LGPL?
Yeah.
LGPL states that you need not to give out your work, like because you need not to open source your work. Like LGPL is flexible, like you can use it whatever you want, but you need not to open source your work that you write from the base work. But whereas GPL v3 strictly says that you have to give out the source code because you're using some of the GPL v3 license, copyleft license.
Okay, this is the last session for today, and it's a selling time actually. Actually, I want to talk about what are we doing on how we contribute as Agoda, and I also include some of the repository and open source from our Virginia that we are working on. Okay, so let me start with the first one. This is the most famous thing I would say that we already do in Agoda. We create a library called Kakao. It's a library that we use to help us write the automation test more easier, more human readable, and more usable. This one is powered by Kotlin. We use the feature of the high order function and also the lambda and contain with attention function and infix function that we can create a DSL syntax style to write the automation test. And I can show you some of the example. Okay, can you see? Is it too big? Okay, so here is an example. So usually I would say that this is the normal code that we usually write in Android when we try to check something on the screen. For this example, is like we just want to find the layout that is a name price item with the text like with the chart that have the standard rate, and then we check that if it's like show on the screen or not. And if you come, let's say that you are not a coder, let's say that you are QA, you don't have the idea of how to write episode, how to write Java, you just come here, look. You don't even know what is this one working on, and because you have to knowledge of what is how the Android works, and also you have to know the syntax of the Java. But for that case, for us it's not human readable. So when Ilya is the one who introduced this idea that we should make something like more readable for the QA as well. So we create Kakao to make sure that we have the readable structure. And let me show you here, okay. Yeah, okay. So we want to make it more readable and make sure that everyone can read, even if you don't know about Java or something. So we come up with something like this. You have to define the screen, and then inside you have define your own element, which this can be written by the software developer. You have to write by your own. But when you come to life, let's say that you want to write a test. You just want to know that, okay, in the screen, I just want to have the find a view that is something like name phone, and then I want to just check that is it has the text like 971 something blah 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 on the screen or not. And also we can define a lot of stuff inside the screen, something like the button, drop down list, pop up, and those stuff. This library is, as I said, it's work on top of the episode, which is have a lot of assert method and method to query the view of the layout. And this one we already wrap almost. I think we wrap almost every function that we have inside the episode. So if you want to try, just check it out. If you are the Android version, you should check it out. So here, and this is as I just said, this is a feature also on Pro Android Dev, and we have like more than 600 stars right now. So just try it, okay? And another one is I think it's a new one. Actually, I just learned it like a couple of days ago. It's about Agoda analyzer. Actually, this one maybe Joel can know more about it. So from what I know is that it was an analyzer for the compiler to just check the codes that you define by the some rule or something. Let's say that if you have something like your standard to have to name the method, you can write the analyzer build on. You can write the custom analyzer based on the something. It's called, I think it's called load string.
I can talk.
Yeah, it's better for you.
Yeah. So one of the repositories we've got at Agoda, I think there's a few people here that have worked on it before. I think Vit, you've worked on it. We've got 130 active contributors every week, and it's got about 1 million lines of C# code. So when you've got that many active contributors, it's hard to maintain consistency. Some people do things differently. So with C#, we've got the ability to write Roslyn, it has a language API called the Roslyn API. And with that, we can write rules that will analyze our code. And we do this, it integrates with a tool that we use called SonarQube that will comment on people's pull requests and tell them when they've done things that don't comply to our standards. One of the things that we found is that there's a lot of people that are doing this already, but the rules that they're writing are kind of soft. And so we wanted to write some rules that were very specific and quite opinionated, specific to web development in .NET. And yeah, so I think we've got about 20 or 25 rules at the moment, just from contributions inside Agoda. And we've got about 10 or 15 issues on the backlog. If any of you are interested in learning about Roslyn and sending us some pull requests in October.
Do you already have the issue on it?
Yeah, we've got, I haven't put labels on them yet though for Hacktoberfest, but I'll do that today.
Could you give some example of rules?
Rules. Yeah. So, for example, one of the first one that we added was actually about the dependency resolver in ASP.NET. Because we use dependency injection, and there's an anti-pattern that we found people were using, which is just they use the dependency resolver and go, give me one of these. Now, if you do that inside a class, when you're doing your unit test, you don't have the dependency resolver. So that's why it's an anti-pattern. So it's not properly testable. So we actually just put a rule in there that said, don't use this. So it'll comment on people's pull requests, and depending on the level that we set, it can either block the merge or just warn them. Yeah, there is some ones in there just about basic naming and stuff to keep things consistent. But with the Roslyn analyzer rules, the thing that I liked about them is when you write a rule, you can also write a code fix. So as well as analyzing the languages for things that's wrong, you can write code that will then fix that. So you get these little light bulbs. You have them in IntelliJ as well, and you can, as well as going, having an underline and say this is wrong, you can click the light bulb and go fix this. And you can also go fix in solution, which is the one that we love, because when we write these code fixes, we can like mass clean up our project.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Okay, and actually we have something more, but I think that we will put only pick the one that is most interesting for you guys, and we just open source it to let you guys contribute to it. If you have like the question about how to contribute to Kakao, you can go ask Ilya, me, Konstantin, because we also working on that. But if you want to get the idea about the rules of the C#, you can talk to Joe as well. And next one, I want to talk about the thing that we do in all the free time for ourselves. So I think I put most of the OSs that I know that are from our guy here. So let's go from the first one. The first one is named Conveyor. It's from Konstantin actually. If you ever write in some kind of, let's say that you are JavaScript, or even if you use some kind of software, you have to have the data object class. The data class is mean like something like that, the class that you create to receive the data from the server side or maybe from the database. And when you write a test, let's say that you have one class that have like 10 field or 15 field that maybe it's a integer, string, and some custom object inside. And every time you have to test, you have to create that class to make sure that everything is work and send to the test case. Every time you have to create some number or something to make just pass it. Like you don't care about the result, you just want that object, but that object requires 15 fields. You have to create like 15 random number or random value inside. So it's kind of tedious if you have to do it every time that you create a new test case. So from that point of view, Konstantin create one library that you can just, okay, let's give me just some random number or random value for that class. I don't care what is it, I just want that object, and then it fill out all the data in the value with the correct type for it. So if you're interested in, and this is actually is a very good one because it's kind of simple. If you want to start, you can just learning how to do Kotlin. You can just go into his library and then check out the code and see what you can improve for that. And the next one is actually is from myself. I call it Craft. It's a request builder using for connecting to the GraphQL server. Let me show you a bit from here. Because usually if the GraphQL, actually they have the special syntax. Usually when we call something like REST API, or we connect with the normal request response, usually we will have something like for parameter or something like query parameter to just send to server and get the data, right? But for GraphQL, they have another protocol. We just host some of the data and which the specific format like this. So you start something like query, and then you just tell the server that what you want, what is the structure that you want from the server side. Let's say that you do like this, from the server side, send as a request, you will get the same data structure that you define here when you get the response. So you will get something like the node, and then inside the node you will have to fill like ID, created date, and content, and blah 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 inside that one. And for that, it actually is have like the syntax that much more complicated, like mutation and parameter and those stuff. And this one, the idea behind at that time, because at that time it was my time that I just start learning Kotlin. It's like I just write Kotlin like 1 week, I think. And after that, I read about something like Facebook GraphQL. I'm really interested in it. And I also learned about DSL and other functions inside the Kotlin. So I just try to adapt my new idea with the new thing that I just learned like Kotlin. So actually the OS is not about contributing to something aesthetic. Maybe it's just the playground that you want to test something new. Just like my demo, I just want to test something new. Like I just want to write about GraphQL, I just want to write about Kotlin. I just combine together and create a new repository and then solve my problem. And this one is I kind of don't have much time to maintain it right now, but if you have some if you're interested in to learn what is GraphQL, and maybe you start interested in how to write Kotlin, you can just come and talk to me about it. What? Why? Oh, and I think this is the thing that should mention. What? Did you say something?
I suppose we use the assembly equipment for every issue.
Yes, actually, it's a nice one, dude. And usually is if you have your own open source, I recommend that you put something like this is a tagline. It's like the status, like the overview status of your open source. Like you can put like the build status, the version, the latest version, and the code college. Because sometimes if you go for my repository, I have everything in here. Like I have the example, feature, how to set up, guide, and everything like the readme here. The documentation is all here. Sometimes it's really hard for the other guy to just see like what is your college, what is the latest version, something like that. It's really hard. So it's better to maybe just split it into like on the top, and then everyone can see.
I don't agree.
What?
Why don't present this library to Android Arsenal yet?
Android.
Yes.
I think they already have it.
But you can show the
Oh yeah. I forgot to put that question. Okay. So as I said, that sometimes you don't need to just sometimes you don't need to just to be like do the thing that you are familiar with, or the thing that you are working on the same thing that you are working on in everyday life. You just want to try something new, and then you just jump on it and then play with something new. You can also do that. And also we have this is a bit crazy actually. We have like he's a lead engineer here. He working on right now. He's working mostly on the DevOps stuff. He built a library that help us to run the device farm, which I think right now we have more than 200 or 300 devices already, right? I can't remember. But it's the number is almost I think 100 already. And for this, when you run automation test on Android, let's say on Android, you have to plug your device to some computer and then execute the command. But if you have like 10, 20, or 100, it's not easy because you have to like divide all the message and then execute one of them, or maybe you have to chunk off your test, all the tests, and then put into the separate device, something like that. It's really hard to control, and it's easily to break it. And so he writes some of the helper library that help us to make sure that everything is working fine and we can track if something went wrong. So there is a tool library here that I put. It's like there's a STF client. It's like the automated client connecting for when you want to open, when you want to connect to the remotely to the device. And then for this one, I think we also have like the fail safety case that we can check and notify us if something went wrong. And another one is this is a new one. It's a core platform test runner. When you run the automated test, you have to have the test runner to make sure that everything to execute the command and make sure that it works in the same environment. So in here, he also created a core platform test runner to make sure that everything is working for both Android and iOS. And from this tool library and some other stuff, right now we have like more than 800 test cases running. And for this one, we have like really high success rate, like almost 80% up success rate. And we run it like I think 40 minutes, less than 40 minutes right now. Every time that we run all the full automation tests for Android. And another one. Maybe sometimes you don't have to write about the library that help you in your project. Sometimes you just want to write a tool that is append to your IDE or code editor that you want. Like we have like VS Code that you can put some plugin inside. Also the same as IntelliJ that you can also create your own IDE plugin to help you generate some code or help you check something. And this one is done by Vinay. Actually. The thing that I want to mention here is that sometimes if you're working on something like on the user interface, something like it's better you to put something like the image or some of the instruction how to use it to make sure that people know what are you talking about. or what are you do, what is the feature that you are going to do. So for this one is a code generator that you can just put something like JSON format, and then you can and then you put into the plugin ID from this, and then it will generate all the code related to like the data class or the library like JSON, and do serialization for you. You don't have to write the code. Let's say that you have a really long list of the object, like huge list of data, list of booking, something like that. You just paste it here, and then you auto generate your class for you. Okay. Okay, and I think I covered all of the things that I know. If you know more, you can just talk to me later. And I don't want to say that it's not about the other stuff. Like we also have like in Kotlin, if you want to, actually because there is a lot of repository that participate in the Hacktoberfest, you can just go into and check it out. Like the this Arrow is a library that help you enable some feature of the functional programming inside Kotlin. So something like curly, functor, and all those functional paradigms into, and they also try to encourage people to just contribute to this. Like they try to put something like hello want, and you can just check it out. And as I say at the first start, there is some other open source as well that if you participate in during this event, you may get some additional swag. Like this guy is like from Hasura, I think. They're building the GraphQL server framework for PostgreDB. So it's like if you just put this library and on top of the Postgre, you automatically get the GraphQL API for you. And they say that if you open the PR for them, they will get some free t-shirt and sticker. So if you're interested, check it out. And yeah, I think I cover all the showcase here. So I just want to say that the open source is not something that you need to be fear. It's just something fun, and you should try it. And the first step is always hard because you need to. You will always fear that it's like a wall that you have to pass by until you. And if you pass it, you don't have to fear anything anymore. So start, contribute, and enjoy the coding. Thank you. Oh, and I just want to say another thing. If you're interested in Kotlin, we have the Kotlin meetup in 18 October. It will be on LearnHub near BTS Siam. And if you want to get the ticket, just scan this link. But I want to say that it's all talk in Thai. But if you're interested, just come and talk with us. It's fine. We have the guy developer from Japan. It's on the left. He's from Mercari. It's from Japan, and another guy from Itigo. Okay, thank you for your time.